News time is 9 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Tuesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 8 o'clock newscast, streaming to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. It's Election Day in the United States, with, of course, lots of attention being paid to those federal candidates that are on the ballots. Locally, there are few contested races and a few referendums throughout the listening area. Stay tuned to this station for the latest federal election returns on the air from SRN News. And Wednesday, we'll have final results on many of those referendums in the area, and we'll have those both on air and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. In the last month, it's been announced a new bank is setting up shop in Clinton. That's just one of the exciting things happening in DeWitt County recently. On the WHOW Morning Show Monday, DeWitt County Development Council Executive Director Kurt Homan told Regional Radio the new bank coming to Clinton has been in the works for a while.
You know, Longview Bank is really one that I actually had invited one of the bank employees to actually was a hospital function, and they came, and 3 or 4 years ago, and probably 3, just kind of introduced them to the community here. But you know, that is really one that we have been off and on working with probably for the last couple years. Mm-hmm. You know, there wasn't a lot of convincing. They wanted to come to Clinton, and we're happy to be helpful in doing that.
Homan indicates the development and extension of Somerset Drive in Clinton were born out of conversations with a couple of Clinton business owners. Homan believes that development is more good things for Clinton.
The new subdivision behind Farm Bureau and Baum Chevrolet, you know, we talk about that. That was a meeting that took place, a couple years ago. Scott Baum, one of our board members, ran into Dave Waters. They were having a conversation. And, you know, we can talk about these things now, but, you know, we sat Roger Cyrillic, met with him and I and Dave and Scott, and, you know, discussed a subdivision. And timing was impeccable on that because the city had some TIF funds that account was expiring, so they needed to use those funds. And, you know, I know there's a lot of behind the scenes work, but you know, I will say Roger Cyrillic was absolutely on the ball with that. And I don't know who else had their hands in it, but you know, from that perspective, we had a subdivision map very, very quickly. And so again, residential is not business necessarily, but it will bring more people, more housing, more jobs with construction and those types of things.
According to Homan, the Farmer City Grocery Co-op's bid for a significant grant from the state of Illinois did not end up happening, but he says they're still moving forward towards establishing itself in downtown Farmer City.
Farmer City, throw this out, Farmer City has a new downtown bakery and coffee shop that's going to be opening up early next year. And I've been working with the owners there for some time, and excited to finally see that one open up. It'll be a great addition to downtown Farmer City. And you had referenced the co-op in downtown Farmer City as well. So we did apply for a grant. I actually did the application process for him through the state of Illinois. The pretty intense application. We were given all indications that we probably were going to receive that grant, and unfortunately we did not. You know, very, very disappointing in that area. They did open up round 2. The co-op is not going to apply for that grant again, based on the conversations I had with the person that oversees that grant. We do. A grocery store has to be more than 10 miles away, which it is, but the income level of the community, they really needed it to be lower, you know, so
no kidding.
Yeah. So I think for a grant purpose, it was, you know, the income was the average household income was too high in Farmer City, and, you know, which is a good thing, but for the grant, it, you know, wasn't a good thing. So that was plan B to begin with, because the grant really wasn't a possibility when they started talking. So now it's back to plan A, if I could say that. And they have been doing some fundraising, and there'll be some city, the expectation is there'll be some city TIF funds and you know, some other government funds that are out there, along with their fundraising efforts. So they never really had one specifically in place. If the state grant was approved, there would be work probably starting in the next 60 days. In this case, there probably will be work starting in the next 60 to 90 days. It'll just look a little bit different.
Learn more about all the happenings with the DCDC by following them on Facebook. A national nonprofit is teaching the future of America about renewable energy. Michael Arquin with Kid Wind Energy explains they are a national nonprofit devoted to promoting green energy in classrooms. They connect with teachers by affiliating with school districts and local partners to train teachers.
I'm a converted middle and high school teacher. Kid Wind's been around for 22 years now, and we're all about sort of helping teachers bring clean energy content into their classrooms through we have a lot of curriculum, materials, and we do a lot of training of teachers coming out to different communities all across the United States. There's a lot of interest in renewables right now, as you may or may not know, and teachers are very curious, so that they're curious about how to bring it to their classrooms. So we get into those classrooms by a lot of times affiliating with a partner in the area or school district, and we get some funding from some local partners, and then we show up for a full day, half day, and we train maybe 20 to 30 teachers in those communities about how to teach about wind energy, how to teach about solar energy, helping them sort of see how to do it in their classroom. And teachers these days really love the support of learning how to do that. You can read a lot of pieces of paper, but when you see somebody do it, it really helps you actually do it in the classroom. So we're there to do that kind of work.
As a former teacher, Arquin feels he and his team know how to reach teachers. They focus on the science and engineering aspects of green energy with their teachers and students.
Yeah, and I have a huge network. So every summer we hold a week-long training. We create some master teachers. I actually have a number of them in Central Illinois. So they go and do the training for me. Teachers are the hardest students, they say. They're kind of like the hardest kids to teach. And so it's good to have other teachers doing that. So we're very focused on sort of the science and engineering around, say, how a wind turbine works or a solar panel and things like that. So we want the kids to be using actually the same materials you might see in the real world, but just scaled down. So we have a lot of think 2 foot tall wind turbines where kids can change the blades on those and change how well they work. They're learning a lot about how to measure electrical output, like using a multimeter, things like that. They're also playing with real live solar panels and seeing how they configure them and do things like that. So we're always very focused on giving them very practical but very hands-on activities that teach them exactly how to do this stuff. And a lot of times we'll bring in people from industry in the area to show them what their jobs could look like in the future. So there's a lot of kind of things like that.
Arquin notes there are 3 major barriers to getting these topics into school, and those are training their teachers, giving them time to understand it, and allowing the resources to teach it.
There are 3 barriers to people doing stuff in classrooms. Number 1, you got to know what you're doing, so we got to do training. Number 2, you got to have some time to figure it out. And number 3, you got to have the stuff. So we fundraise to make sure that any teacher that comes to a training would get a pretty big pile of stuff so they could do it in their classroom. A lot of that's funded either through state or federal agencies and or the developers. So we're pretty good about helping to make sure that if you're interested, we're going to get you the materials you need to kind of do this in the classroom. We have a number of virtual support tools that we do where we have, we call them there's things called Spark Sessions and Tinker Times. Once or twice a month, we'll have these 1-hour online webinars where kids can come in and learn more about tweaking their turbines or their solar panels, or just we'll have somebody from the industry on talking about what it's like to build a solar farm and all the challenges of doing that. So we try to have after that, there's a bunch of virtual and other supports that we provide.
According to Arquin, there are more ways for students to be involved in Kid Wind than just in the classroom. They host STEM competitions called the Kid Wind Challenge.
So yeah, we have established something we call the Kid Wind Challenge, and this is a student-based design challenge started around wind energy, but now includes solar and also hydropower and some other things. But it's a very open-ended. Your audience may know of things they might have kids who are in Lego robotics challenges or other challenges like that. It's very much like that, but the prompt is very much around build a 2 foot tall wind turbine, and we're going to stick it in a wind tunnel and test how well it works. And so we bring these wind tunnels or these solar arrays to we do one at Heartland, actually, one of our regional ones. We do about 60 of these across the United States, and Heartland is a place where we do one of these. And the kids will bring their turbines that they've constructed. They put them in there. They may have done this work in their classroom. A lot of times these kids are doing it in after school programs where they're in a club or something like that, or even homeschool kids or or all kinds of kids. Everybody's sort of welcome to come as long as you know the rules and bring your turbine. So we have a lot of kids who sort of get into that, and then once they go to that, they usually get really hooked because we try to keep it pretty fun. It's more like a celebration than a competition. We have a lot of like fun prizes. If they do really well at that, they get invited to the Kidwin World Championships, which is like a really big party. So they think that's kind of fun.
Get more information about all things Kidwind at kidwind.org. 19 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Tuesday. Coverage of news streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Sports is next. Just fantastic. Edward. From the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Seth Lawrence with this local news update.